to Book One One's all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is a RTT hypnotherapist and, of course, emotional healer. No other than Miss Carolina Fischer.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Welcome, Miss Carolina on Book One Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
hmm Yes, I'm an RTT hypnotherapist and emotional healer, and RTT is a form of hypnotherapy, of therapy, where you go to the subconscious of a client and you go to the root of an issue and not only treating the symptoms. Hence, you really transform an issue or an area of concern. Hence, you transform their lives. And I personally came to that and to be an RTT hypnotherapist because I could experience the power of it in my own life, on my own body. And so I really am so passionate for it because I experienced it myself and I could see what potential we have in our lives actually way more than I could have ever imagined before because we are usually limited in what we have seen in life, right? What we can imagine. Usually we can imagine what we have seen other people do, or even, on movies or read somewhere. But there's usually limitations because what we can't feel, right? How do we know how it feels? And often it starts with a feeling when we go into a new state, a new expansion, a new growth spurt on an emotional, spiritual, psychological level. So with hypnotherapy, we really can go to places we have never been before. So, for example, right, extreme maybe, but if you have never felt loved, right, growing up, then how do you want to get to that feeling of feeling loved, right? Because if you haven't felt something before, how are you going to produce a feeling, right? Because even if as an adult, right, somebody now comes in your life and really loves you, we usually have our patterns already, and then that's unfamiliar and we might shut it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way we with hypnotherapy we can really go to those parts and find those parts that always wanted love, because we all, like, as human beings, right, we want love, we want to belong, we want to be loved, we want to be supported, we want to be important. And these are really our needs, right? So and once we go to that root of not having been loved, right, and the coping strategies and survival strategies then that one then employs to survive emotionally and psychologically, then we can like heal that, remove the coping and survival strategies, and have that open space for now for that love and being able to be loved now and to love in the way that we had always wished, right? And most of
Mm-hmm.
us wishes.
Mm. Yes, interesting. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Caroline or Carolina. Thank you. So today let's talk about RTTP hypnotherapy.
Mhm.
Sorry for that. So the rapid in RRT is striking in a field where therapy is often a long process. What is the foundational belief about how the mind and change work that makes rapid transformation not possible but targeted?
Thank you for that question, because that was actually one of the main pillars that drew me into the work of Marissa Peer, because she created this form of hypnotherapy. She invented it, created it. I think you can both use both words. And so she actually said exactly that, right? She said she did not like that often people that have had it the hardest during their childhood, adolescent, or part of their lives, they are then usually with conventional therapy told that now they need to be in therapy for their entire adulthood or for a very long time. And she said that's unfair, right? How can that be so unfair that when they already had a hard time, then now they need to now go to therapy for so long or for their entire lives? And that drew me in that she said, just because something is deep, just because something has been there for so long, just because something is a very deep belief, doesn't mean you need decades to change that. Change can happen in any minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have experienced change in their lives, right? Some people say it changed their lives when somebody close to them died. Some people say it changed their lives when they got a child, right? Some people say it changed their lives when, I don't know, when they started believing a certain thing or when they met a certain person, right? So there are ways. Some people say they changed their lives when they were on a special drug, right? And they had a mind expansion, right? So there are many ways to
Mm-hmm.
to right, to have that change. And we know that change goes fast, right? The child is born and it's different, somebody dies and it's different, and that's 1 second, right? So that shows and proves that change doesn't need to take a long time, right? And change is not about talking over about it over and over again. And I'm not saying talk therapy is not important and not good, but if you want a change, then hypnotherapy or therapy that addresses the subconscious are the way to go, in my opinion and in
Mm-hmm.
my experience.
Yes. Interesting answer, Miss Carolina. So let's talk about the RTT integrates hypnosis or psychotherapy and neuroscience. How do these three pillars work together in the single session to create a different kind of therapeutic experience than using any one approach alone?
Well, the way it works together is that you use work with the subconscious to really get to the root belief, to the root pattern, to the root cause of what's keeping you now from either feeling like you're not living your best life or not reaching your potential, or from having now really pain or, you know, situations in your life like phobias or fears, addictions, anxieties that hold you back from enjoying your life, right? And from, yeah, and where like living actually feels hard and painful. And so the hypnosis helps you to go to that subconscious to find those beliefs, and then we basically use our words, where neuroscience comes in, right? Because if you don't express words, then you suppress it. And oftentimes, or most of the times, that's what I see, we don't have issues at 45 or at 35 because something happened to us at 5 years old. We only have issues from when we were 5 years old if there was nobody there that could teach us how to deal with it at 5 years old, or nobody there that listened to us, that could hold space for us. Because if something happens to me when I'm 5 years old, for example, right? I mean, it could be making a fictional situation up now, right? But if something happens to me when I'm 5 years old, and most of the times anything big will overwhelm me at that point because I don't know yet how to deal with my emotions, how to integrate experiences well. So I need someone to guide me. But if I don't have anyone to guide me and something is overwhelming, then I have to suppress, I have to rationalize, I have to dissociate, I have to do any of those, I have to use any of those coping or survival strategies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're using then is we let that inner child or that younger self speak what they were never able to speak. Because again, when I'm 5 years old and something happens and I have someone around me that says, tell me about how you feel right now and how that makes you feel. And I can talk to them as a 5-year old every day about it or as often as I want to. until at one point I won't need to talk about it anymore because it would be healthily integrated in me, right? But
Yes.
if that doesn't happen, then those words obviously have never been communicated. So they're still inside. They don't just vanish, right? But they need to be suppressed. So opening that gate up when we connect with that inner child or with that younger self and letting that younger child now say all those things. I felt like this. I wish you would have done this. I wish somebody had held space for me. That the way people treated me in this situation made me feel this and this about me. I internalized it as me not being good enough, or me deserving that, or me being dumb, or whatever the belief might be, right? Because we survived the incident, but the belief, we are still suffering from the belief. But just by saying all that, and then also giving back what we now know is not true, namely that I was born not enough. That's not true for anyone, right? Then we can give that belief back wherever it belongs, wherever we got it. And by that, it changes everything, right? It changes on a deep level, in every cell, because it's the belief of it. The belief is changed,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really, I mean, we can't go back obviously 30 years and change it, but this is really almost as the same, because we're going back to that inner child, to that younger self, and letting them speak, finally speak what they had never been able to express.
Miss Carolina, many therapeutic models focus on managing symptoms or changing present thoughts. How does RTTS focus on identifying and reframing the origins of a problem in a subconscious lead to a different kind of a resolution?
Well, you really reframe by telling yourself the truth, like I said, right? We often grow up thinking, well, I wasn't enough, that's why this happened to me, or I'm dumb because people told me I am, or insinuated, um, or this happened to me because my father left because it was me, I was not good enough, or whatever the case might be, right? And by telling that younger self the truth, by letting that younger self tell the truth and say, now I know it wasn't me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was always enough. I mean, that's the truth, right?
Yes.
So by really telling the truth.
But nothing but the truth. So you emphasize that the subconscious is the servant mind trying to protect us. Even its methods are raw or now harmful. How does viewing a symptoms as misguided protection strategy change a client's relationship to their own struggle?
To their what?
To their own struggle.
Hmm. Well, it changes a big time, right? Because I often have clients come in and say, oh, just, I want to get rid of this anxiety. Just take the anxiety away, right? Or the depression or the addiction. And I always stop them, right? And say, look, the anxiety, like you just said, the anxiety, the depression, the addiction, they are actually there because it was helpful at one point. It was protecting you at one point. The anxiety, the depression, the addiction, right? There's a reason why it's there. So we want to look at it first. We want to really embrace it and be curious. Why is it there? And once we see why it is there, then, right, you need to see it. You need to really acknowledge it. And then you can also say, okay, now I'm an adult. And now I realize I took that because I didn't know how else to deal with it. Now I know different ways of dealing with it. And I have survived that already. And I can heal what happened to me then. And I can hold space. And I have friends now and a therapist that holds space for it, right? A partner. Um, so I don't need those anymore. And then that anxiety, that depression, that addiction can really transform in front of your very eyes because you can see it as what it was. a
Mm-hmm.
protection, a coping strategy, a survival tactic.
Once the root causes is identified, Miss Carolina, there is a critical reframing stage. Can you walk us through that conversation between the therapist and the clients look like? How do you help the subconscious adopt a new empowering understanding of that past event?
How do I didn't
How do you
understand the
help?
question.
How do you help the subconscious adopt a new empowering understanding of the past event?
By looking at the event, right, and seeing it from another perspective. Like, right, for example, if somebody is being beaten as a child, right, or is being beaten by words, put down, then in the moment, they will think they just need to do better to be treated better. There's something wrong with them. And that becomes the belief. But when we go into the subconscious and connect with that inner child now knows, fueled by the wisdom and by the knowledge that we have as adults and me as a therapist, as a hypnotherapist, that that's not true. And that was never true, right? A child is not beaten because it's not good enough. A child is beaten because the parent doesn't have control over their own emotions, over their own self, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they clearly have the inability, they are not able to, in my opinion, be a good parent. Because if you beat a child, you're not a good parent, in my opinion. So there might be other people out there that have another opinion on that, right? So then we go back and we let that child express that. I know now that there was never anything wrong with me. I was a child. I didn't always do the correct thing, right? Not even adults do that. I know now that it was on you, that you didn't know how to control your own emotions, your impulses, your actions. So that is on you. And I'm giving you that inability back.
Mm.
And
Well,
I'm not gonna internalize it anymore, right? As on my failure, because it's not mine. It's yeah, it's not the innocent one, right?
very well said, Miss Carolina. So, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
My long-term goals
Yes, please.
and short terms, um, I mean, continue working as an RTT hypnotherapist. My goals are definitely expanding into, like, I would love to work all over the world. At the moment, I'm in the US, and I mean, I work via Zoom, so in the US, in different states, and in Europe, in in German speaking countries. But I would love to expand into other countries because I like to just have an international circle of friends around me also, and I would like to also have an international um, pool of clients around me. So that is that is the goal, and to always learn. I mean, I learn with every client, right? So to just learn and get better is what I do.
Mm-hmm. Well, Miss Carolina, good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success. And what will be a piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Mm, advice, I think. um, what is a really good advice is listen to your body, to your gut. Yeah, really connect to your body, because that's always good advice. That's always where the answers lie. like um like in hypnotherapy, we work exactly with that, right? That's where your truth lies. The mind can lie, right? I can lie to myself. Again, i can I can lie, I can suppress, I can rationalize things, I can but the body doesn't lie. Your gut feeling doesn't lie. So really, yeah, connect to your body. Have some ritual that connects you to your body. May it be sport or meditation or breathing or drawing. I don't know what gets you in the moment in your body.
Well, thank you for that advice, Miss Carolina. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
I really think The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk is a Bible,
Bible, yes.
Bible in the therapeutic realm. So I can definitely recommend that.
Hmm. Thank you for recommended book, Miss Carolina. So before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and of course my Book 101 review in sixth season two, Comedy 101 in third season, and Food 101 in sixth season as well. Geography 101, Love Letters, Movie 101 review, Music 101 of fifth season, Science 101, Sex 101 in fourth season, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and Bible Verses 101 are my baby podcasts. So please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. So, Miss Carolina, for someone listening who has tried virus therapies without the deep shift they long for, what is your compelling innovation and invitation or frame for how they might view RTT as a different kind of opportunity?
It's really about going to the root rather than treating the symptoms, rather than talking about it again, but really taking the healing it and taking the energetic charge out of it.
Mhm.
So the past doesn't hold you back anymore and doesn't like is a memory, right? We all have memories of the past, but if there's too much emotional and energetic charge still, then it's um, it's either we don't have memories, right, or the memory is still overwhelming us. And so I think it's really important. And with the subconscious way that RTT hypnotherapy works, you can do that. You can really transform your life.
Transform your life indeed. So, Miss Carolina, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah. So my website is whyhypnotherapy.com. That's whyhypnotherapy.com. You can find me there.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Carolina Fischer because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this to rise. So, Miss Carolina, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
More to come, people. See you soon.